He'll let it widen because you weren't in his plans. You were just in his moment. It's almost like a test you don't announce. You don't say, I'm pulling back to see what he does. You simply do it, and the truth rises up without you lifting a finger. Because people reveal themselves in how they handle your absence, not your presence. Some men will reach out immediately. Hey, haven't heard from you. How are you? Others will wait, expecting you to break the silence. And some won't even notice you're gone. And as painful as that realization is, it's a gift because it frees you from investing in someone who never truly saw you. This is where many people struggle. They think, if I stop contacting him, what if he forgets me? But that's the whole point. If he can forget you that easily, he was never holding you that tightly to begin with. And I'm not talking about obsessive holding. I'm talking about the kind of holding that respects and values your presence. Absence is a truth teller. It strips away the small talk, the empty promises, the I miss you texts that have no action behind them. It forces a man to decide, do I reach out or do I let go? And if he lets go, don't chase. Don't run after what is chosen to walk away. Because sometimes his silence in your absence is the loudest answer you'll ever get. When you're no longer available on demand, you see who was there for you and who was just there for the benefits you provided. That's the thing. Some men aren't in love with you. They're in love with what you do for them. Your support, your attention, your energy, your encouragement. When you stop giving it, you see if they loved the source or just the supply. I've seen people get shocked when they disappear for a week and the man doesn't notice. They thought the connection was deep. They thought it was mutual. But absence doesn't just show the truth. It saves you from wasting more time in a lie. Now, here's the part most people miss. Absence doesn't just expose him. It exposes you to yourself. You start to see how much you've been bending, adjusting, shrinking to keep that connection alive. And when you're not spending your days thinking about how to reach out, you start thinking about what you need, what you want, what you deserve. It's uncomfortable, yes, because absence creates a silence that your mind will try to fill. It will whisper, and maybe he's busy. Maybe he didn't notice this. Maybe I should just call. That's your fear talking. And if you give into it, you rob yourself of the truth. Let the absence do its work. Let it strip away the performance and reveal the reality. You don't need to demand answers when a man's actions in your absence are already answering the question. And remember, a man who values you will not need to be reminded to reach for you. When you stop chasing a man, you change the entire balance of the relationship. You take the power you've been handing over, piece by piece, and you pull it back into your hands. See, chasing tells a man something, whether you mean it or not. It tells him, you have what I want, and I'll keep running until I get it. And the moment he feels you'll always be there, the moment he sees you're the one doing all the running, he stops moving. People move differently when they know they have to earn you. But when you're always chasing, always calling, always checking in, you train him to do less. You teach him that effort is optional. You make his comfort your responsibility. And that's not love. That's imbalance. When you stop chasing, the game changes. He has to make a decision. Will he meet you halfway, or will he stand still and let you walk away? Stand still and let you walk away. And that moment, that pause where you stop moving toward him, is where you see his true intentions. Now, a man who's used to being chased will feel the shift instantly. At first, he might think it's temporary. He'll wait for the familiar ping of your text, the ring of your call. Distance says, I am not here to be consumed endlessly without gratitude. Distance forces him to see you as an individual, not just a fixture. Now, let's be clear. Distance only works when it's backed by genuine self-respect. If you pull away just to get attention, he can feel that desperation. But when you create space because you value yourself, because you're protecting your energy, because you refuse to settle for less, that's when the respect is real. And here's the thing about respect. Once it grows, it changes the dynamic permanently. A man who once took you for granted will think twice before doing it again. He'll remember that you can disappear without warning. He'll remember that you're not afraid of distance. And in the back of his mind, that awareness will keep him from crossing lines he once thought he could. It's not about fear, it's about boundaries. Respect grows in distance because distance shows that you have boundaries, that you are not desperate, that you can stand without leaning on him. That's attractive, that's powerful, that's magnetic. So don't be afraid to step back. Don't be afraid to give him room to realize that your presence is earned, not owned. Because when you do, you'll see the difference. His tone will change. His effort will change. The way he speaks to you, the way he prioritizes you, the way he considers your feelings, all of it shifts. Distance is not the end of a connection. Sometimes it's the very thing that strengthens it. When you're in the middle of a situation, emotions can cloud your vision. You're reacting, adjusting, explaining, excusing, and sometimes you don't even realize how much you're bending just to keep it together. But when you pull back, the fog starts to lift. Distance isn't just about him, it's about you. Whoa. It's about giving yourself room to breathe, to think, to see the situation for what it really is. Because when you're always engaging, always responding, always reaching out, you're caught in the momentum of it. You don't notice the small ways you've been compromising your peace. You don't notice the red flags you've been ignoring. You don't notice how much you've been carrying. But the moment you pull back, the moment you stop pouring energy into keeping that connection alive, your perspective changes. You start seeing patterns you couldn't see before. You start realizing which moments were genuine and which ones were just comfortable for him. Clarity comes in silence. You hear your own thoughts without his voice in the background. You notice how you feel when you're not waiting for him to call, when you're not checking your phone, when you're not checking your phone every hour. You notice whether you feel relief or emptiness, and that tells you something. Pulling back is like stepping outside a noisy room. Inside, you couldn't even hear yourself think. But once you step out, the air feels different. Your mind settles. Your heartbeat slows. Your heartbeat slows. And suddenly, you can hear the truth you were too distracted to listen to. Here's the thing. Sometimes the truth isn't what you want to hear. Sometimes pulling back reveals that you've been holding on to something that's already gone. That's hard. That's hard. But it's better than living in confusion, better than wasting months or years in a situation that's only half alive. Other times, pulling back shows you that he's still there, that he's willing to close the gap, that the connection still has life. But you won't know either truth if you keep filling every silence with your voice, every gap with your effort. Clarity also comes from watching how he responds. When you stop contacting him, does he notice? Does he reach out? Does he step in and try to understand what's going on? Or does he simply adjust to your absence like it never mattered? His reaction tells you exactly where you stand without you having to ask. And that's why pulling back is so important, because the truth will show itself without you chasing it. You won't have to send long paragraphs explaining how you feel. You won't have to beg for effort. You won't have to guess. You'll see it in his actions or in his lack of them. Clarity isn't just about seeing him clearly. It's about seeing yourself clearly too. Quote, you'll realize how much energy you've been giving away. You'll remember parts of yourself you've neglected. You'll see the difference between wanting someone and needing someone. Sometimes you realize you were holding on to the idea of who you thought he could be, not who he actually is. Oh, that's a powerful moment because once you see that truth, you can't unsee it. And from there, you make decisions not from loneliness, but from awareness. So when you feel lost in a relationship, when you are unsure of where you stand, when you are exhausted from giving, pull back. Give yourself the gift of perspective. Let the noise settle. Let the truth come into focus. There's something magnetic about a person who knows their own value. They don't chase. They don't beg. They don't scramble to prove they belong. They stand where they are, confident, and the right people come toward them. That's the difference between pursuit and attraction. One drains you, the other sustains you. When you're always pursuing, you're sending a silent message. I need you to see me. And sometimes that pursuit isn't even about the other person. It's about trying to confirm your own worth through their attention. But here's the truth. If you need someone else to validate your value, you'll always be chasing. And the moment they pull away, you'll feel empty again. Self-worth changes that. When you know who you are, when you understand what you bring to the table, you don't run after anyone. You don't fight to keep their interest. You let your presence do the work. You let your character do the work. You let your character do the work. You let your you the work. That's why people who truly value themselves don't overextend. They don't stay where they're disrespected. They don't negotiate their boundaries. They know that respect and love are not things you force, they're things you inspire. And the people who are meant for you will be drawn to that energy. Tit. G. Men feel this difference. A woman who's chasing feels desperate. A woman who stands in her worth feels rare, and rarity draws pursuit. You see, in relationships, people often value what they have to earn. And if you hand over your energy without requiring effort, you remove the very thing that creates appreciation. Now, let's be real. Self-worth isn't about arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone. It's about knowing you're not less than anyone. It's about saying, I am enough without your approval, and I will not lower myself to be chosen. That's strength. That's dignity. When you stop chasing and start standing in that truth, something shifts. The wrong people fall away because they can't benefit from your effort anymore. The right people step closer because they respect what you demand of yourself. And in that space, you stop feeling like love is a race you have to win. You start seeing it as a connection that should meet you halfway. The beautiful thing about self worth is that it changes your filter. You stop being attracted to people who make you prove your value. You stop tolerating one sided relationships. You stop making excuses for disrespect. And when you're no longer entertaining what drains you, you make room for what's meant to build you. This is why so many people say, "Oh, work on yourself first." It's not just a cliche, it's reality. Because when you're solid in yourself, you attract different energy. You don't have to perform for love. You don't have to fight for attention. You become the kind of person who's not afraid of losing someone because you know you can't lose what's meant for you. So, stop chasing, start valuing, stand in your worth, and let the ones who see it meet you there. When you're emotionally attached to someone, every little thing they do has the power to shake you. One word, one text, one mood change. It can make your whole day rise or fall. That's a dangerous place to be because it means your peace belongs to them instead of to you. Emotional detachment isn't about not caring. It's about caring without losing yourself. It's about being able to love someone without making them the center of your world. When you master that, the dynamic changes instantly. Because now you're not reacting to every shift, you're not trying to control their responses, and you're not afraid of what happens if they pull back. Detachment puts you back in the driver's seat. When you're attached in an unhealthy way, you end up chasing reassurance, AD. You overthink, you overcompensate, you overgive. But when you detach, you stop doing all of that. You give from a place of choice, not desperation. You love because you want to, not because you're afraid they'll leave if you don't. A man can feel this difference. When you're overly attached, he knows you'll stick around no matter how little he gives. But when you're detached in a healthy way, he knows he has to keep showing up because you're not afraid to step back if the energy shifts. Detachment also changes the way you see situations. Instead of getting lost in why hasn't he called, you think if he wants to, he will. Instead of panicking over mixed signals, you say, if it's unclear, it's not secure. You stop chasing answers from him and you start finding them in his actions. This isn't coldness. This isn't coldness. This isn't building walls. It's building balance. It's protecting your peace so you can make decisions from clarity, not from fear. And when you do that, you naturally start drawing healthier connections because you're no longer clinging to people who drain you. When you detach, you remove the pressure. Not the pressure. You stop trying to force the relationship into what you think it should be, and you start letting it show you what it is. That alone will reveal whether it's worth your time. And here's the truth. When you're not emotionally dependent, you're more attractive. Not because you're playing games, but because confidence and calmness are magnetic. You send the unspoken message. I want you, but I don't need you to be whole. That's powerful. Detachment doesn't just change how he sees you, it changes how you see yourself. You realize you have the power to walk away. You realize you can be happy on your own. You realize that love should add to your life, not replace the life you have. People often think walking away means you failed, that you couldn't make it work, that you gave up too soon. But in truth, walking away, when done from a place of self respect, is one of the strongest things you can do. It's not about quitting, it's about choosing yourself over what's breaking you. We live in a world that romanticizes holding on. Fight for it. They say. You know, give up. But sometimes the bravest fight you'll ever fight is the one to let go. Because walking away isn't just leaving the person, It's leaving the version of yourself that settled, that tolerated, that accepted less than you deserve. When you walk away, you reclaim your time. You reclaim your peace. You reclaim your peace. You reclaim the energy you've been pouring into someone who's not pouring back. And that's not a loss. That's a win you feel deep in your spirit. A man will often realize your value in your absence, but walking away can't be about making him notice. It has to be about you noticing yourself again. About you seeing that your worth is not tied to who chooses you. About you realizing that your life doesn't pause when someone leaves it. Walking away sends a message, not just to him, but to you. It says, I am willing to leave anything that costs me my self-respect. That's not weakness. That's power. That's drawing a line in the sand and refusing to step over it, no matter how strong the feelings are. The truth is, staying is easy when you've gotten used to the routine. Walking away forces change. It forces you to face the unknown. It forces you to trust that the world on the other side of this decision is better than the one you're leaving behind. That takes courage. And here's what happens when you do it. Your standards rise. You stop accepting half-effort love. You stop making excuses for disrespect. You stop seeing leaving as a loss and start seeing it as an upgrade. You begin to understand that endings are not punishments. They're redirections. And they're ending. A man may or may not come back after you walk away, but that's not the point. The point is that you'll never again abandon yourself to keep someone else. You'll never again ignore the voice inside that says, this isn't enough. Because once you walk away with your dignity intact, you realize you can do it again. And that's freedom. Walking away is not the end of your story. It's the start of the chapter where you finally put yourself first. And when you do that, you don't lose. You win everything that matters. Win everything that matters.